Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Wolf United Uncut, the show where you have all your favourite hosts on the podcast just to chat some absolute nonsense usually. It seems like we have an ever-changing cast on this show. Last week we had me, John and Ben. This time we've got Mark. So we're changing it round. I'm sure Joe will appear drunk at some point on the podcast. Before we start, as always, what are you all drinking? I'm on the Coke again. Mark, what are you on?
I'm on Ribena. Exciting as it gets in this house.
It's almost as boring as me. What's John on this time?
I'm on the same bottle. I'm on the same bottle that I was on 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, but it is gradually going down. So I only drink it on this show, so it's halfway there. So
is it bad that I'm slightly disappointed that you've not finished that from the last show?
Well,
yeah, you bought a couple more, ain't you?
That's in between the wine and the lager and the gin. So I'm just saving that purely for this show. So bit of anticipation there.
Love it. Everyone in the comments, let us know what you're having. Make sure to like the video while you're here. Make sure to share it, retweet it, wherever you're watching it. If you're watching it on Facebook or Twitter, youtube.com/AFU, come and join us over here. Anything happened in your personal lives in this last week before we get into the serious stuff? You know, Ben always tries to get me focused on the task at hand, but he's not here now, so we can go wild with it. But anything interesting to tell us? Mark, you were telling me about a very interesting thing you were telling me about, something to do with suction, is that right?
Yeah, we might as well tell the whole world now, mightn't we? So, yeah, as I was saying to the boys backstage, I had a vacuum cleaner delivered today. Now, you might take the piss, but let me tell you, when you're 30 years old, that's the sort of stuff you get excited about. So for anyone that isn't 30 yet, we'll reconvene and have this conversation when. Yeah, really excited today, and I had a great time for a couple of hours.
A vacuum, ladies and gentlemen. Why is it that I'm always stuck with the old people? Where's Temmie when you need him? See, neither of them are denying that they're old either. That's the thing.
I can't. Can I? I'm the oldest one. Admittedly, if I had a shave, I'd probably look a little bit younger. But I don't look bad for 28.
No, we've already established 20. I'm not having that. Jamie just come on and said, "Don't be fooled. That's red wine in Mark's bottle."
Definitely not. I can assure you. I don't really drink too much, to be honest, you guys.
The Beaner, is that what we're calling it now? The Beaner.
I like that. The Beaner.
The Beaner's a proper man's drink. It's not sure I can back that. What do you think? I know. Here's a fun game for everyone in the comments. Whoever's watching right now, let's have a guess at how many drinks Joe will have had by the time he appears on this podcast. Let's get our guesses in now. Mark, what are you going for?
17.
He'll claim it was 17.
He likes his cans, doesn't he? So I'm going to go for, I reckon he's bought 3 4-packs. So I reckon he's probably had 9 out of the 12. So I reckon he'll probably have another 3 on the show.
I'm going to go with a grand total of 8. And I think that's being nice because it is a weekend. I don't think he's been anywhere. Where has he been at work today?
I have no idea.
I don't know where it's probably another Tinder date, isn't it?
Oh, it could be. That's why he's running late. To be fair, he should have been here at 1 minute past if that was the case. But
yeah, I was going to say if he was on a Tinder date, it couldn't have taken that long. Stuart says 6. Jamie says 3. Everyone seems to think he's a lightweight. Good evening, Fred. You know the drill. We're just discussing Joe being drunk. We could talk about football, but why would we do that on a football podcast?
What's
new? Right, we will talk about some kind of football then. This week was quite busy for United, wasn't it? A lot of things happened. First off, we'll start with the youth contracts. Now, this was coming off the back of, obviously, last week's show. We discussed the technical director, the football director coming in. And this might have already been done. It might have been done before, and they've released it to show, for PR reasons. But do we think it's a sign of the direction we're going in with these 3 contracts negotiations? I'll open that up to anyone.
Yeah, I do. I don't think we've really discussed, at least we haven't, on the new director of football and technical director.
Well, actually, Mark, we did on last week's podcast.
Oh, did you? Well, I wasn't there, so I'm going to put my 2 pennies in now. No, I think it's a good, we're moving in the right direction. People want to jump on the bandwagon about, not being an established director of football. But he's done some incredible things in the background and done a lot with the academy, which is where I was going. And as we know, in the last few years with Nicky Butt and the academy players that they brought through, they've done an incredible job. So that only bodes well for us going forward. And I think Hannibal is a very exciting player. I'll be honest, I don't really watch too much of the youngsters, but I have seen a few of the games of the under-23s, probably because of the excitement on Amad Diallo. But Hannibal looks like a very exciting prospect. And it's good to see, and hopefully this is a start of good things to come. And we're always talking about United's history and DNA, and filtering through youngsters, and long may that continue. So yeah, it's all good news, all positive news for me.
Yeah, John, what do you think? Do you think this was a lot of Murtough's footprint on it, or do you reckon it was just a case of it was already done, and after he's come in, let's just announce it now?
Yeah, I think it's probably pre-planned. I mean, the timing might have been scheduled or something, but it doesn't mean that Murtough or Fletcher would have had any difference of opinion. Look, these three players are three players that, one, a lot of United fans have heard of, even if they don't follow the under-23s, which means that they're good. It's a good start, because like some United fans don't follow the academy, which is absolutely fine, but at least some of these players will have at least been heard of. They're exciting players, as Mark said. And just following up from what Mark was saying regarding what we said last week, let's defend the decisions to make these particular people football directors and technical directors, because they haven't actually done anything wrong yet. So there's no reason to just jump on them just yet. So at least let's see where they're going to take us. But yeah, as for the three players, look, they're exciting players who are in positions where I think that we need. So obviously Mengi, centre-back. No, I'm not saying he's going to come straight in, because I was saying last week that's not going to be the case. We shouldn't put pressure on these players to jump straight in. But
doing well at Derby, though.
Doing a great job at Derby. Absolutely. Yeah, Elanga, an exciting, I think he's 18 years old, forward. Someone that, if he can have half the success that Green was having in this stage of his career, then he's obviously doing well. And as Mark mentioned with Hannibal, another like a centre attacking kind of midfielder who really was probably one of the shining stars last season. So I'm excited that it's these three particular players. Whether or not, just because they've got contracts, it means that we're going to see them in the first team anytime soon. Probably not. But is there any need to rush them into it? No. So, I think they've chosen the right three players, and I think it's good press from United.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially the players that they've chosen, as you said, the players that people know about, even if they haven't really watched them every week. So they know what they're doing in that sense. So definitely. And of course, we've got to remember the players that are also already out on loan. There's Dylan Levitt, there's James Garner, of course, got man of the match today for Forest. So there's players there that can come back in, and maybe those players are further along in their development. Now Garner's probably ready to come in and maybe play a squad role next season. I'd like to think so anyway. I think Levitt as well, because he's potentially going to the Euros this summer. Those two will definitely be further along. There's Ethan Galbraith. That's another shout. I think he's a big talent. Could do with a loan himself. A bit more experience maybe, but he could play a part. So definitely, all the news is positive so far, says Fred. Let's see how the summer window. I don't even want to think about the summer window, because that is a little bit painful. Elanga, as Fred mentions as well, Shola as well. There's loads of talent in that team. In terms of people that are coming through, and they could get an opportunity. So definitely exciting times for the club. Brendan, Joe is currently pulling into his driveway on his way back from work. So he'll be back soon. He'll be back soon. And here's a strange comment I've just seen. Manchester United is finished. As a fan, it's hard to take, but I don't see us coming back with the Glazers. I've just got to emphasize the last word. You should do a maths debate with fans. Whoa, hang on a minute. Hey, hang on. Mark's better at mathematics than me. Oh, sorry, was that not what you meant? Was it meant to be something else?
Only on Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. What day is it today? Oh, you're not far away. Don't worry. Well, it was St. Paddy's Day this week. Joe could be on a 3 to 4 bender since then. That is a good point. That is a very good point. I'm going to text him now. In the meantime, Mark, will you tell me why winning that game in midweek against Milan was so important? Because a lot of our fans seem to be underplaying it a little bit. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but Milan was a tough ask, was it not? Why is everyone taking that a little bit too lightly?
Yeah, I think it was a tough ask, wasn't it? And AC are doing very well this year. They seem to have restructured a bit. I've got a decent manager in and playing very good football. And, we shot ourselves in the foot in the first leg and made it very difficult for ourselves. And I did say that I felt Ollie would turn it around. And to be honest with you, without Pogba, I don't know if he would have done. But ultimately, we've spoken about this many, many times. It's about progression. It's not going to happen overnight, but we need to see that progression. And progression this year will be to try and exceed third and get a trophy or two. So in order to get a trophy or two, you need to be in the competitions that have trophies. So it was important. Now, if you look at it, we beat Sociedad, the No Mugs. We're top of the league up until more recently. Very good team. We beat them quite convincingly in the end. AC Milan, as I said, doing their part this year, look like an exciting young team, and we beat them. So that's good, and that's testament to Ollie. I know that he, it made hard work of it. The players made hard work of it, but ultimately we got the job done, and we're in the next round, and we need to reevaluate and take it one game at a time. But yeah, great result. I think a lot of fans probably were quite negative about it going into it, and were a bit concerned that we wouldn't get through. But they can't talk about that now. We got through, and that's what's happened.
John, I didn't get to ask you this because obviously you weren't on the post-match show, so I wasn't able to ask you. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, because we beat Milan and it was away from home with an away goal that we had to cancel out. Do you think that it showed a bit of maturity in the team? Because I don't think we've seen that level of maturity so far from this team, other than maybe away in Paris, the Manchester derby and things like that, where we can grind out a result and really be solid in that sense. Do you think it shows that we're developing as a team, or are you on the case of someone like, I can't remember who said it on the post, sorry, whoever it was, but they said it was probably just a one-off on a one-day pressure sort of situation?
Yeah, look, it was professional, it was mature, it was patient. We know that we had 90 minutes to score one goal and keep them out at the back. A lot could happen in 90 minutes. Look, you could argue that if it wasn't for Pogba's shot there, then maybe we would have crashed dead. But that's me again, getting a bit frustrated by looking at the very minor detail, when really just step back and look at the bigger picture. Over 2 legs, we're through against a very good team. As Mark says, Milan are now pushovers. Going to Italy and winning 1-0 away, it's an achievement. Are we the same level as it was back in the 90s and early noughties? No, we're not, but we're not just going to suddenly turn that around overnight, are we? The fact is, all we had to do against Milan was win 1-0, and that's what we've done. So the way I am, I'll say that as a positive. A lot of fans can see it as a negative, because now they want us to win 3 or 4-0 and turn these teams over week in, week out. But to me, we're not at that level yet, so we have to be a little bit realistic. Go on, Mark. Sorry.
Look, the thing is, it's very easy for us to get carried away and want to win 3, 4, 5-0 against every team. And whilst that would be a wonderful thing, how boring would that be?
Oh my God, Mark, I need to interrupt you just a second, because we've got a criminal. What is that? What is he doing?
What's up?
I have a comment to
guys.
make here, but I won't make it. I'm not going to make the comment that I'm thinking of in my head. I'm not going to do it. I'll put it in the private chat.
You're going to make the comment.
No, I'm not, because I might get in trouble. I'm going to put it in the private chat, but I'm not going to say it out loud. All of you read it and then tell me whether I'm right and not saying it.
Hold on. Okay.
All I'm saying is, and someone else can fill in the rest. All I'm saying is, that's all I'm saying.
Do you know what? It's better when Joe has a mask on, isn't it? You can't really hear him.
Yeah, but you can't drink with a mask on.
You have on tonight as well.
So yeah,
you,
Joe,
man.
I'll get you covered. John, do you want to landmark your hat?
Don't be jelly. Don't be jelly.
No, to be fair, I am quite jelly because I need a haircut sometime too.
Where are you, Joe?
Yeah, very soon, very soon. I'm on a bus, okay, and this is why this is the appropriate attire, okay, because I'm following the law, and you should all be applauding me right now. But you're
Hang on, I feel like we need to put you full screen for this. It's like an All for United advert. This for coronavirus safety.
It's coronavirus safety, and I feel like I'm what's his name? Kardik. What's his name from Batman?
Bane.
Bane. Thank you. Ah, you think darkness is your ally? I'm telling you, whatever we're talking about, we're gonna win the Europa League. We're gonna win the FA Cup, and we're gonna come top of the Premier League in second standards. I'm just saying, these are all facts that I'm giving you right now, and that's what's gonna happen.
Joe, I need to ask you, how many drinks have you had? Because we've had a prediction on this.
Less than 40, more than 2.
We need an actual number here because we're trying to run a legitimate business.
You do. I'm gonna say I had 12.
12. Mark was closest. Mark's closest. He's got.
What did Mark say?
Mark said 16.
Okay, I'm more annoyed that Mark was closest than the fact that he predicted I had that much. To be honest.
Another question.
You know what this is calling out for? He should be wearing an AFU mask. We need AFU masks. We need AFU masks.
Okay. We need AFU masks.
Oh, let me check. Where are they? Are they underneath this couch cushion? Where am I looking for these? Okay, don't call me out on something that doesn't exist yet, please. Give me that much credit.
Is this where you pull up and start ringing Karthik's doorbell now?
Yeah, give me 15, 20 minutes, I'll be there. He owes me a lot, okay?
I owe you a lot. Of what?
I don't know. I'll figure out when I get to your door.
You owe me a Harry Maguire fan club t-shirt. Temmie's getting away with murder here.
I don't need this right now, okay? Everything will come to who they're due to, okay? That's as much as I'll say. Now, are we talking about Man United or are we not?
Yes, we are. I wanted to ask you a question before that, though. What was I going to ask you? I was going to ask him something. Where have you been?
I was in a friend's house, all legal.
Whoa! What was she? Was she female?
She existed.
In a friend's house. Was that all you were in?
Let's just
garden, kitchen, living room. Jesus Christ, Joe! Come on.
No. We all left happier than we arrived. That's all I'll say.
So it definitely happened then, sure. That's right. I feel sorry for Joe.
Joe, how many is all, by the way? Not both, all. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, that's as far as I'll take it, okay? If you want to say it's 1, if you want to say it's 50, everyone left happier than they arrived, okay? And that's as much as I'll say. I'm not a taker, I'm a giver, okay?
Nah, that's not what Mark tells me. Anyway, no, we need to get off this. Ben's going to tell me off for being too 18 plus here. Joe, I wanted to ask you about the Europa League because it looks like, on paper, it could be an Arsenal final. Is that something we look forward to, or is that a case of, well, we've not really had good luck against them, so we don't want to face them?
Look, I don't want to play Arsenal ever because it's not going to end well. I didn't want to play them in the quarterfinals and the semis, and genuinely, I think we can get to the final, but they won't. I would put my house on that. They will not get to the Europa League final. They will bottle it. They are 10th place in the Premier League for a reason. They are a nothing club. They get points against the actual clubs, but they're not going to get the Europa League final. It's not going to happen. They got past Olympiacos by accident. They're going to mess up in the next 2 rounds because they're going to Arsenal. It's pure facts. It's pure facts.
I can't wait till they beat us.
No, they're not going to beat us. They're not going to beat us because they're not going to play us. It's not going to happen. I guarantee you that.
Okay, enough of Joe was setting himself up to be absolutely murdered when Arsenal get to the final and win the Europa League. In terms of the team that's left, so we've got obviously Granada next. That should be, we think, an easy United win. Following that, we can play either Roma or Ajax. Obviously, are we worried about that? Which of the two would we rather have? Because at the minute, I don't know which one I'd want because they're both very, very tough teams.
Yeah.
Well, we've had tough teams so far already, you know. So,
well, yeah, but this is another step up.
We should be able to take on anyone.
Is this not a step up, though? All right, Joe's internet's shit. Mark, you can jump in.
Well, I don't know if it's a step up. I think each game is different. Each team's different. They play very different football. And ultimately, we don't want to cut corners. We're very quick as United fans to say, Liverpool aren't the best team because they had this team. Man City always seems to get the easy ones. We don't want to fall into that bracket. I want to see United turn up to games, play against the best teams, and win them. So yes, it will be tough. It will probably be our toughest. I don't know who to really. I mean, it would be nice for Donny to perhaps play Ajax and have an absolute storm.
It would be nice for Donny to play.
Yeah, that would be the perfect game for him. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy, but these things never are, and you have to work your way to the final, and I do honestly believe that we can get there. I do honestly believe that we can make it there. I think Brendan actually is probably right. I think really, if you look at it, we'll probably be a lot stronger against Ajax. If it's anything telling about Donny, and he's struggling with the physicality of the Premier League, I think we'll probably match up to them a lot better. And we beat them in the final 3 years ago, and that will be firmly in their mind too. So it's not going to be an easy game, whatever. We've just got to, as I say, approach it pragmatically. Ollie will hopefully get his tactics right, and we will beat anyone that we come up against. If we don't, then we play poorly.
John, are you of the similar opinion, or are you looking at it going, I'm not too sure, because we know our record at semi-finals?
Yeah, look, I'm not overly confident about. Well, first of all, we've got to get through, but I'm sure we will. And what Mark said about wanting to play the best teams. I mean, look at 1999. We had a fantastic run of games there, didn't we? And that's brilliant. I mean, that's my era. I love that. And I agree with what Mark said. You want to beat the best, don't you? And then you got no arguments. But I must admit, when I saw that Granada was playing Granada, I was happy. I was happy about that, because at the end of the day, you still want to get through, don't you? So I don't mind playing the weaker teams, to be honest. Look, I think either of those teams, Ajax or Roma, it's going to be tough. It really is. Arsenal final, I would love it. I know obviously it's apprehensive, but as an actual event, I think it'll be brilliant. And I think as a one-off game in a final, we've got more than enough to beat them. We would go in as favourites, surely, providing that obviously we're on form and we've got a few players, got like the strongest players available. We shouldn't go in there thinking, just because we haven't got the best record against Arsenal. We shouldn't be scared of any of those teams, to be honest, that's left. But I think looking at it, we've got a good chance of getting through to the semi and probably getting through to the final.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel a little bit weird going into semi-finals. I just think, it's another semi, and I'm sure the players will by this point. I reckon it's now it has to be. I'm sure it is a mental block now. They get to a semi-final and they can't get. We can't get past the semi. Get us some Viagra or something. That's what we could do with. I don't know why I've come up with that. Someone's been saying that to me. It's one of my mates. That's why he's been messaging me all the time. Every time we're in a cup run, he comes at me with, you can't get past the whatever.
That's a bold statement by Joe, though, saying Arsenal won't reach a final, because they've got an easy route in my eyes. I think, I appreciate what he says with them 10 for a reason. I completely agree with that. But the English league is a lot better than the other leagues out there. So, 10th in the English league is probably equivalent to like 3rd or 4th in most other leagues, if not more. So, that is a bold statement. But yeah, I'd love to see that final, if I'm honest. Yeah, I'll be nervous, but I'd love to see it.
Tell you what, though, I hope Arsenal absolutely twat Slavia Prague in the next round, because honestly, what they've been doing in the last couple of days is absolutely disgusting. Especially what the comments that have come out yesterday, just horrible. I hope Arsenal absolutely twat them and then get twatted in the semi-final. That's fine. But yeah, we've also got the FA Cup this weekend. Obviously, that'll be our main focus for the next couple of days. Well, the next couple of hours. What are we feeling about that? Leicester. They're not the same team that were high flying a couple of months ago. They're not the same team that obviously won the league. They've had a little bit of a transition period. They've got their team going now. Now they look like they're entering another transition stage. And I say that not in terms of the whole squad, but their striking position, because we know Jamie Vardy's getting on a little bit, and Iheanacho's coming in and he's starting to play very well now. Are they a team we need to worry about? Because they've got injuries, Maddison and the such. He's not going to be about for them. But they still pose a threat, don't they? What are you feeling, Mark?
Yeah, they do. Listen, I think they're a better team than what they were when they won it, if I'm honest. I think that the league was so poor that season. This is no slant on Leicester, but they were the best team then. They had some good players, but I genuinely feel that they've got a better team now. They've got a better manager. Their structure, their infrastructure is good, and they seem to silently go about their way, pick up points, and are firmly on our heels. They are a dangerous team. We have had a lot of luck, I would say, a lot of wins against them in the last few seasons. It's going to be tough tomorrow, but I do believe we can win it. I mean, they're without Maddison, Barnes, and Pereira, I think. 3 big players. Barnes is having a great season. And Maddison, we all know, as soon as he had a bad time as soon as his head returned from United. But since he's got over that, he's a phenomenal player. So I think that's obviously. But then saying that, we're without Rashford, Martial, and Cavani. So we're both in the same boat. It's going to be. I mean, I can't call it tomorrow. Obviously, I want us to win. I want us to firmly win. But they are a tough team. They're a good team, and as I said, I was having this conversation earlier. At some point, when you talk about the big six, and this is no disrespect to Spurs and Arsenal, but they haven't got a good infrastructure. They don't really recruit very well. Jose's sort of hanging by a thread. We know what that's like, and we don't know enough about Arteta yet, and perhaps they are starting to do. They're basically us 2 or 3 years ago, okay, and they're having to really sort of rejig things and work differently. But at some point, we have this category of a big six. But at some point, you've really got to ask the question whether those two. And again, this isn't me being a typical United fan having a go at those two, but you have to ask the question: are they really a part of that anymore? And then that begs the question: Leicester probably are. They're a good side. They beat bigger teams. They've won against City and Liverpool and us, and they've got a great infrastructure. They came fourth. No, we knocked them out, didn't we? But they were very good up until lockdown. Lockdown hit everybody apart from us. We came back the sharpest, and that's why we ended up third. So at some point, you've really got to probably put them in that bracket. I think they're a great team, very well run.
John, do you think this is a must-win game for Ollie? Because now, obviously, we've discussed this previously, but we talk about which trophy is worth more, and I feel like that's almost a silly statement to make, because a trophy is a trophy at the end of the day, but there is certain importance given to different trophies. Do you think this is a must-win game to keep us in the FA Cup hunt, or do you see it as just another cup, let's stay in as many cups as possible, or do you give it any more importance than others?
I'm a bit old school. Considering you keep on mentioning my age, Kartik, I am quite old school, being an oldie. The FA Cup still means something to me, and I know, like, financially, it's more important to be in the top 4 for Champions League, this, that, and the other. And I'm not going to blow wind up Arsenal's backside for what they did last year, because I would much rather finish 4th and not win a cup as opposed to win a cup and finish 8th, or I think they're 10th at the moment. So I don't think it's the be all and end all, but we need that FA Cup, or we need a Europa Cup just to add that add that bit of belief and positivity for Ollie. And I think Ollie deserves that because we don't need to go down that route just yet. But I mean, I think that the whole club just needs that bit of a lift. As for the actual FA Cup, I think we do need it. I think it's very often 2 steps forward, then a step back, 2 steps forward, then a step back, and we just don't quite move quick enough. We're moving forward. I do believe that we're progressing, but we're not progressing as quick as what a lot of fans want. And I can understand that. I think, they want immediate success, and they look at our players compared to some of the other players, and they think, yeah, we should be winning trophies. Look, Leicester do scare me. The league doesn't lie, and I'm a big believer in that, especially after this many games. Mark touched on it last season. Apart from that, they had a load of injuries last season at the end, which forced them to drop out of that top 4, because that was basically 3rd or 4th last season until all those injuries at the last few games. And then 3rd, I think, again this season so far. So they're a good team, and I think just because they're not a glamorous team, people still look at the likes of Tottenham and like say Arsenal or some of these teams first. But Leicester do scare me, but I do think to myself, if we turn up, we should be winning these teams.
Tell you what, I've got a good question here in the comments. I thought it would be interesting to discuss this, actually. A combined United Leicester 11. Let's assume no injuries. Let's go through it. Let's see if we can come up with a combined team then. So in goal, I assume we're having De Gea.
Yeah, I would.
You should be considering it.
Well, I had this conversation earlier, and I went with Schmeichel.
Really?
Yeah, the reason why I say this, I love Henderson. He will be our future number 1. He's done fantastic. However, we've only seen him for a few games, and if you look at Schmeichel, he's been there for many years and has been very consistent. So on that basis, if you want consistency, I would have him in goal. Interesting.
I don't know. Well, we'll go with Schmeichel just because Mark's on the show, and we'll be controversial about it. Back 4. What are we saying at right back? Because Pereira's a shout, I don't know.
I don't watch Leicester as much as obviously United. I probably watch just a few games, but I think of Wan-Bissaka, and I think he hasn't. He started off really well with us, didn't he? But I still like Wan-Bissaka, I must admit. I think he sometimes gets drawn out of position, and we know about his failures going forward. But I think he's getting a lot better going forward. He's trying, and he's venturing forward a lot more. I know this season he's probably not been as good defensively, but is that because he's trying to kind of help Maguire and Lindelof, or Maguire and Bailly a little bit? So I'll probably go for Wan-Bissaka on that one, but I think I will concede in a few other areas maybe.
Yeah, I can stick with Wan-Bissaka on that. The centre-backs will be interesting because for me, I quite like Fofana, and I think he'd have to be in my pairing. But it's who does he go with? Is it Lindelof or is it Maguire? Because it could even be Soyuncu, to be fair. Let's not throw him under the bus.
Just quickly on Aaron Wan-Bissaka, did you see that stat earlier about going forward?
No.
So up until December the 31st, I think Luke Shaw created very few chances, and I think they were 23rd and 24th in the league, both him and Aaron. Since the turn of the new year, Luke's created 15 and Aaron Wan-Bissaka 9, and they are both first and second for fullbacks. So going forward, he's very, very underrated. And I've said this for so long, until we get a right winger, right, he will be far better than he actually does very well going forward, and it's a myth. And that's why you see Luke Shaw playing much better now, because Rashford and him and their partnership on that left-hand side is brilliant.
Okay, centre-backs then, what do you two reckon? I've just seen Ugly Bear shout Johnny Evans. That might be a shout as well, but Jamie reckons Fofana and Maguire. What do you two reckon?
Yeah, I agree with Jamie. I said this earlier, Fofana and Maguire for me. Fofana would complement Maguire. We've seen him and how well he's played recently. Could easily be Lindelof as well, but I would take those two. Spot on.
John, do you agree?
Yeah, I'll do on this one. Yeah, absolutely.
Left back, we're all agreeing it's Gilberto Carlos.
I love that. I love that.
But what an excellent season he's had. I mean, let's not push over. If this is an opportunity to shout out Shaw, I think we need to do it, don't we? I mean, I know a lot of fans in the past have said he doesn't contribute enough going forward, this, that, and the other. But I think he's actually getting a few assists now, and not only that, he's just. I think
I don't know who said that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. It's no, it's
right.
Good
It is good to see. And let me address everyone that's come at me recently, going, "Oh, you're changing your mind now." Well, yeah, because I gave him genuine criticism that he wasn't doing certain things going forward, and now he is, and he's the best left back in the league. So clearly, I knew what I was talking about, didn't I? No, I'm buzzing that Luke Shaw's improved because it means we haven't had to buy a new left back. So it means one less position we've got to worry about. Mark, go on, say something nice about Roberto Carlos and why he's the best left back in the world.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Many years ago, he came in very young, was very exciting for Southampton, and then he had a double leg break. I've said this before. If you have a horrific injury which nearly ended his career, and you come back from that, it's going to be incredibly difficult, physically and mentally. He's taken a lot of criticism, as a Man United player. They all see it. That's going to be detrimental to your frame of mind. But
I've just seen a fantastic comment. Hang on a minute. Jacob, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's legs are too long for me. I feel like it limits him in terms of acceleration and one-touch passing, unlike Shaw, who is more compact and tiny with his little chubby legs. What are you on about, Jacob?
Jacob, we're not asking you to fancy him, mate.
His legs are too long. Right, I think you need to spend less time looking at his legs and actually watch the game because he's perfectly fine. His legs.
That's a good bit of observation and a good bit of analysis. If you truly believe that, I mean,
well, yeah, I'll have to keep tabs on that. We'll have to look at his acceleration stats. See if Jacob's got a point there. Midfield. This will be interesting because this is an area that a lot of fans seem to think we can improve on. But Sean, in my opinion, only one Leicester midfielder makes it. But it depends on the formation. So, are we going 4-3-3 with a holding mid, or are we going with a 10? What are we doing?
I've got 4-4-2. I'm going for, and I've got two Leicester players.
Brexit.
So I've said just quickly. I've got Ndidi.
Yeah, that was mine.
Bruno, Pogba.
Yeah.
And Tielemans.
Interesting. That will be a tasty diamond. I'm not going to lie. No Maddison.
No, because you'd have to take out Bruno for me.
You could. I think you could play that same diamond, but get rid of Tielemans and throw Maddison in the 10.
Yeah, you could have either or, but I said in my earlier one, I said Tielemans, so I'm going to stick with that.
John, what about you?
I think Mark's picked the best four there, but if I was to go with a three, I'm happy with Pogba, Bruno, and then Ndidi. I mean, we all know that we need a better CDM. I think Ndidi's the man for that. I mean, you just imagine that midfield three. If that was Man United in there, all full strength, Ndidi with Pogba and Bruno ahead of him, I think that's quite scary. Don't get me wrong. I know Tielemans is good and Maddison. They would all be great, but I think at full strength, Ndidi with Pogba and Bruno, I think is quite exciting. Yeah.
On that, I think it's important we discuss that because I've seen a discussion going on. Temi himself discussed it in terms of what would Ollie's preferred formation be if he got his number 6, and I think it would be a 4-3-3. Now, me and Mark have said this before on a previous show that Ollie's initial formation when he first came in was with the number 6, Nemanja Matic, with 2 8s ahead of him, and he played that for a long time, and even after lockdown, he played it. But then we started to see Matic go off the rail in terms of his fitness, because obviously with age that comes. So he can't play that now, which is why he's playing this 4-2-3-1. I strongly believe that if we sign a proper number 6, we'll go back to that. And when we're talking about Ndidi, now he's the one I've been screaming for. But of late, Declan Rice has been getting my attention. Yeah. Now I want to throw this debate out there: which would you rather have, Ndidi or Declan Rice?
I wouldn't mind either. I think it would be an upgrade. I think you're absolutely right. We will play one. The reason why he plays 2 is because he's not confident in his defence, and it stagnates the attack. That's what it is. Okay. So I think the idea is to get number 6, and then you can play 2 men further forward. We've said this so many times, and I think he showed that with Herrera, even before Matic. And it was such a shame that we lost Herrera, really, in hindsight, contract or not, whatever. For me, I didn't really particularly like Declan Rice. But this season, I mean, to be honest, he's been incredible for West Ham. And I feel for me, I probably would take Rice. They're both good at tackling. They're both good in aerial duels, probably Rice a bit better. They're both defensively very good, but I think that Rice probably is better in his passing range. Now, we spoke about this the other day, Karthik. For me, we need someone that's going to be able to spray those passes around. And I think that Rice would be the best man for that.
Before I ask John your opinion, Ugly Bear, I'd break that back. Verratti's not the number 6 we're looking for, first of all. That just isn't the solution. That would be like chucking Fred in there and playing him on his own. That's just not going to work. And Joshua Kimmich, you're not taking him out of Bayern Munich. You're just not. It's just not going to happen. And then Joe wants Rice more than a Tinder date. I'd love to see the reaction if we signed Declan Rice. We'd have to do a reaction show of just Joe and just him ranting for about 45 minutes about why we shouldn't be signing Declan Rice. And what a fantastic comment from Brendan, by the way. Jacob, who has better legs, Ndidi or Rice? And he's come back with a fantastic question. What do you mean by better? He wants the specifics here. Are you talking about length? Are you talking about width? Are you talking... Well, what? Anyway, John, who'd you rather have, Ndidi or Declan Rice?
Yeah, I mean, Mark said a few things that I would have said, to be honest. I think, Karthik, the way you was about Shaw, I think I was a little bit like that with Rice. I think I thought at the start, when people started mentioning Rice, I thought he was a little bit overrated, but Mark's mentioned how good he's been this season, and you can't argue with that, can you? But I still like Ndidi. It probably takes a little bit longer maybe to win me over. But look, I think either one would be great. I mean, if you could sign one of them right now to come into the United team in the summer, you probably would, wouldn't you? But I'll still stick with Ndidi. I think he's about 24, 25-ish, so he's still got quite a few years ahead of him. And I think I've seen a bit more of him than I have of Rice. It'll be interesting to see what the price range is as well. With obviously, would that play a part in who we would sign? If they're very both similar in talent, would they then go for the cheapest one?
I think they're both at the same price range, quite honestly. Just because Declan Rice with his extra English tax and the Man United tax going in, I think he matches what Ndidi's worth. Yeah.
I think you're probably I reckon that you'll struggle to see United ever deal with Leicester again after the whole Maguire thing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, because that Maguire one, we did overpay. We know that, and it just wasn't a good deal for us in terms of that. But Declan Rice, I think, can be done because of the Jesse Lingard factor, and that seems to be the big talking point with this deal. The reports came out this week that they want to sign Jesse on a permanent, and they're willing to pay around 20 mil. Now, what would we pay on top of that for Declan Rice, do you reckon? 50, 60? I think that's what it would take, wouldn't it?
Possibly.
No more than 50 for me.
Yeah, no more than 50.
I think when it comes to, and again, this is no slant on non-attacking players, but I think when it comes to a defensive-minded anything, goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, I think that you would, unless it's an absolute, it works out to be absolutely wonderfully, that any more than sort of 60, 70 million is too much.
Yeah, I think it's the same as like when we bought Maguire. It all depends on how much he's worth to the actual club who's buying. So with Maguire, no one else would have valued him for 80 million, but because we was desperate at the time and we was playing Smalling and Jones, who obviously wasn't working out for us, to Man United at the time, he was worth 80 million. As a player, he's probably not worth 80 million. So it all depends on how much he's worth for the person who's buying it. I agree. I couldn't justify spending that much, because that would be like pretty much 3/4 of our summer budget, probably, if we spent 50 million cash.
I'd like to see us go out there and find someone cheaper that does the same thing, but it's probably younger. I know Declan Rice is pretty young anyway, but I'd like to see us do that. The only reason I see us going for maybe Rice over Ndidi is number one because of the Leicester thing, and number two because Rice might be able to play centre back as well.
We could have had that in the January window if we'd got Moises Caicedo.
Yeah, potentially. But as soon as the Brighton link came in, I thought, we were never really in for him. But that would have been an interesting sign had we got him. Anyway, the front three then for our combined 11. I think this is where it gets a little bit interesting because the striker position's up for grabs, in my opinion. What do you reckon, John?
So I went for the 4-3-3. I know Mark might be different on this one. So look, I think if you base everything on form, I say on form, but our strikers aren't particularly on form at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think form of this season. Look, I think if you have a look at everything this season, I'd like to put Vardy in there, but that means he's going to be in place of Martial or Cavani. I think looking long term, Vardy's obviously a little bit younger than at least Cavani. I like Martial, but it's going to sound like that I'm against him on this. But I will be happy with probably Rashford, Greenwood, and Vardy. And I do like Martial, and Cavani's done well for us this season as well. But Vardy scares me. Whenever he's on the pitch, I do think that he can do something. So that's just my. Yeah.
Mark, you went for a 2, so who are your 2 then?
Well, my 2 were Vardy and Rashford. If I had to go with 3, I think you're absolutely spot on. Listen, Cavani's fantastic, but he has been injured too much. Vardy, for me, has been phenomenal for a few seasons, and he is on form on his day, I think, now. Better than Cavani, so he would definitely be my number 9. Then I'd have, as you say, Rashford on the left, Greenwood on the right.
And do you think he's more of a... Now, when we think of Cavani, we think presence in the box, but Jamie Vardy is very similar, is he not, in a different kind of way, John? Do you think we should still be worried about him?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm always worried about Vardy. I know, obviously, he's not like the way potentially he was, but even fans who don't know much about Leicester, or I'm thinking about my dad, to be honest. My dad just knows the top line of pretty much every club. He doesn't know the detail, but he just watches the news. He watches the highlights of every game, and he knows that Vardy's a threat. So he'll ring me up saying, "John, Vardy scored again," or "John, Vardy's played well," and it's always Vardy because he still can do a job, and he is an out-and-out goal scorer. So for me, I would definitely be worried about him. How we could actually contain him. We'd be interested to see people in the comments if he's up against the likes of Lindelof and Maguire, which is probably what it's going to be, because I don't think Bailly is going to be playing. I think it'll be interesting to see, because I'm worried about that one. I am. It's just whether or not Leicester could actually get the ball to Vardy and what tactics we play. Are we going to play a high line, or are we going to sit back and try and catch them? It's going to be interesting. But yeah, for me, Vardy, he's a centre forward, isn't he? He don't score that many goals in his career by not being clinical, and he's more clinical than all of our strikers.
Definitely, it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see how we deal with him. So we've looked ahead to that. We'll get our predictions for that game at the end. But the final piece of news that I wanted us to discuss. Now, there's not a lot to discuss on this, but sorry, what was that, Mark?
Just wanted to say about Vardy. He's very quickly. He is dangerous. He will be a problem tomorrow, and I've heard as well that if you chat shit, you get banged.
Joe chats a lot of shit, so that's probably why he's on so many Tinder dates. The last piece of news was obviously the shirt sponsor, and when I was looking at it, I thought, what could we talk about in terms of this? And then my mind instantly went to, when football fans think of sponsors, they think of the kit. So when we're thinking of favourite football kits, we usually recognise them by the sponsor. So I thought, on this podcast, let's discuss our all-time favourite United kits. Now, obviously, this could be any kit that's ever been. So, John, I'll go to you first. Favourite United kit ever? What would it be?
I was actually speaking to the guys at 7 o'clock about this show, about this. So I would go for one that I didn't buy, and it's one that I missed out on. It's the green and gold the square, the green and gold square. I mean, I missed that one. I bought the white one. I bought the black one. Sharp view cam. Obviously, bought plenty of red ones. But yeah, the one that I probably missed out on, the green and gold sharp view cam. Everything about it is brilliant. And I've seen like I think a rebranded one. I think it was last season with a black badge. And
Yeah.
I'll have to look out for it. I think that looks really smart, and I'm gutted that I missed out on that. So I'll have to look out for that one. There's been plenty though, hasn't there? I mean, I love quite a lot of them, to be honest. But for me, yeah, it's probably the green and gold away kit.
We'd absolutely never see that now, would we? That's the sad part of it. Like,
Yeah.
it just wouldn't be allowed now.
I think
Yeah.
I could be wrong, and people in the comments might correct me, but I think one of my earliest memories of United, showing my age again, I think it's about 1992 against Wimbledon, the Crazy Gang, Vinnie Jones, and I'm sure we was playing in the green and gold kit then, and I think it's kind of stuck in my head there. But yeah, you're right, Kartik, we probably won't see too much of that again with, obviously, everything that's being said, green and gold. I won't say anything else, but yeah, it's a shame because it's a big memory to the club, isn't it?
Yeah, and Brendan's right as well. You also recognise kits based on what we've won in them, but sometimes you don't necessarily win anything in the kit, and you recognise it. I mean, I can't think of one off the top of my head. The Vodafone kits, they were classic, and we didn't win a league in them. I don't think we did anyway, did we? We might have won one.
Maybe.
Not sure.
I think we won one. But we weren't particularly successful in that period in those kits, but I think those are classic ones. Mark, what's your favourite United kit? Has you not heard me, Mark?
Hello.
There we go. I think you're lagging a little bit, are you? Or is it me?
Yeah, it was definitely slowing up. So apologies. I might have to refresh in a minute. Sharp in 93, 94. That was the first one for me. One that I didn't. I think we spoke about this actually on Q&A show. I think the first one with Temi. And one that I missed out, which I think's beautiful, was the red strip in 08.
Yes.
With Ronaldo, Tevez, and Rooney. I thought that was a really nice kit and actually very underrated. 99. The 99 kit was beautiful in the Champions League. I mean, there's been quite a number, really. We've been quite lucky. We've been lucky to have so many good ones. And to be honest, yeah, I was going to say this the other day with this new bloody sponsor. People just want to jump on it and have a moan about whatever, don't they? And we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it just looks like it just looked ugly when I saw it, and I was like,
Yeah,
But then if they do it all white, I've seen a few people do like little photoshops on it, and I think, you know what, that actually looks all right. So I'm interested to see what they do with it.
People said the Chevrolet one looks ugly as well, don't they? I think the fact that Sharp and Sharp View Cam and Vodafone looked so good, you know, whether it be symmetrical or just the type of font or something, I think we've been kind of like lucky, haven't we, with those in the past, and it does look really good. And all of a sudden, you go to Chevrolet, and now it's a Team Viewer. I never even heard of Team Viewer before, I must admit. But yeah, I don't know. Well, it's going to happen no matter what, and we get an injection of cash down. I think something like 230 million over 5 years. So it's a bit more money for us, isn't it, to hopefully spend on players and not go elsewhere.
You know what?
Bloody hell, what's you going on about? I need to find a picture of this. Hang on a minute. Keep talking, Mark. I want to find this kit.
It's only a matter of time when United get Tinder and Joe will get one around. That'll be his favourite.
I'm looking for this kit that Stu's on about, and Google doesn't seem to want to give it to me. Does anyone know what he's on about?
No, that's before my time, everyone.
Is it just before?
Just about.
Well, I think that's towards more Ben's time, really. Joking. My favourite United. What's my favourite United? I can't remember what year it was, but I really like the blue and white one, the traditional Adidas one. I can't remember what season it was. Obviously, I never had it because obviously it's before my time, and I can't seem to buy it anywhere at the minute because everyone's on it. Of the recent ones, I quite liked the black kit from Mourinho's second season. That was a really nice one, I thought. The one that Jesse Lingard and Millie rocked in at the Emirates. That was a great kit. But and a good point here, Fred Wood was just reminded me. Not this one. It wasn't him. It was this one. Umbro's kits. Not just the sponsors, but the actual providers themselves. Who's your favorite? Is it Umbro? Is it Adidas? Is it Nike? Or Nike, whatever. Whose your favorite?
When I think of Umbro, I always think of England, though. I don't know if it's just because I was growing up at the time. So for me, it's either Adidas or Nike. And at the moment, I'm buying all Adidas stuff because it's currently Adidas. But I just go with the times. I just go with if United, because I buy a lot of trainers to match my Man United kit, basically. So at the moment, I'm Adidas. But I'm sure if it changes to Nike, then I just go with Nike. But I've never really gone with Umbro unless if I was a kid and I was buying England stuff, to be honest.
To be honest, the first piece of Umbro merch I've ever bought was actually the other week. I was buying some new boots for coaching, and I thought, you know what? I need to find something cheap. I need to find something that's just black, so it looks all right. And I thought, Umbro, let's just go with Umbro. And I found some really classic ones, and they look brilliant. So I just went with them. Umbro's proper vintage feeling it. Proper vintage. Hang on a minute. We nearly had Tinder on the arm a few years ago, Mark. Really?
I bet Joe was furious.
You know what? That would have surprised me. With it being social media and with it being Man United, who love social media, that would not surprise me.
Aren't they partners with City? There you go. Yeah, City had Tinder a couple of seasons ago. I don't think it was on the shirt, but I think it was like a partnership. And you kept getting my mate kept seeing City adverts on his Tinder, and I was just like, oh, brilliant. Pretty brilliant. Go then, as we wrap up the show, we'll get predictions for tomorrow. What are we thinking? Do we reckon we win? Mark, we'll go to you first. Predictions.
Yeah, I think it will be KG. But I think that we will catch them on the counter a couple of times. And I said earlier, 3-1. And I think Greenwood will score the first.
You've turned into fucking Ben here. Has Ben told you to say that? That's his go-to prediction. 3-1 and first goal scorer Mason Greenwood.
No, he didn't tell me anything. That was me. Sorry.
Fair. Okay. Go on, John. What are you thinking?
I think, again, like what Mark said, KG, I'm going with a very similar kind of 1-0 like AC Milan. I think we'll scrape it again. Completely opposite. So I was going to go with a 1-0 win. But I will go with Greenwood because I think it'll be some sort of quick movement. I think
Ben's definitely told you both. He's definitely texted it.
I'd love to see that though. I mean,
yeah, I did what you asked, Ben. Yeah.
There we go. It's sort of Dan James to score, says Ugly Bear. You know what? I'd love it if he scored.
Well, that's what I was saying. You know,
good shout. He's a good player for this sort of game. We saw that before against Leeds. You know, when you play an attacking team, which Leicester are, it exposes the channels. And Dan James would be the perfect man for that. So, yeah, that's a good shout.
Just quickly, what do we think the front three is going to be? Because I completely forgot. We said Rashford, Martial, Cavani are injured. So who the fuck's going to be the front three?
I think it's going to be Greenwood up top. And I think you'll see Dan James and Amad Diallo tomorrow.
Chucking Amad in straight into an FA Cup quarter-final.
We've not got a choice. We've not got a choice. And
I reckon he risks Rashford, you know.
I hope not. If he's injured, I hope not.
Bloody hell.
Anyway, could be Pogba.
Yeah, that's a shout actually. Yeah, you know what? That's probably what it's going to be. You know, that will be what it is. So cheers for ruining the Ahmad excitement of Fred Woodward. Before we go, John, I know you just did a show about the women's team, but is there anything that you want to tell us about, or any shows coming up that you've got?
Yeah, thank you. So I don't know if anyone follows the women's team, but we're currently in a top 3 battle. So we're still third. We was against the 4th place team last night, and we lost against Arsenal. So now, if Arsenal win their remaining 5 games, we will get knocked out of the top 3 spots, which means that we won't make Europe. We've been in the top 3 all season. We've done fantastically well, but because we've had so many injuries, we are getting absolutely annihilated, to be fair, against some of these top teams. So we are gradually slipping down the league. There's 5 games to go, so hopefully we can keep in that top 3, but we need to win every game and Arsenal now need to drop points in the remaining games. We've got another show. What day is it today?
It's Saturday.
Saturday. So our next show is Monday, and then again on Thursday with the usual guests, a few fans, and we've got another couple of journalists coming up as well. So stay tuned to that one.
Lovely stuff.
Can I just say one thing? Even with the women's team, do you know who was a real ambassador and brought the signings in for the women's team? John Murto, and he's done a fab job there too.
Thanks,
Mark. If only he was on the show last week, Mark.
Yeah, when John said the exact same thing.
It's like I watched it.
You know what,
Mark? You should have been on it.
You're absolutely right, though, Mark, and it's good to know from a United supporter who obviously follows women. It's nice to know that there are fans out there that actually recognises that as well. So, yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. That brings us to the end of the podcast. Obviously, we're heading into the international break, so there's no game next week. So potentially this might be a Friday show next week, and maybe some more of us will be on the show. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. Oh, we might make it Saturday. We'll see when people are free. We'll get this next show up. So everyone, thank you for joining us. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to give it a share as well if you had a good time. Make sure to subscribe to All for United if you haven't already. And let's hope we're celebrating a win tomorrow into the next round of the FA Cup, into the next round of the Europa League, and we'll do a treble of the FA Cup, Europa League, and second of the best. I mean, second of the best, best of the rest. That's what I'm Whatever. I've butchered that completely. We're going to be Europa League champions of the world. I'll see you in a bit.